Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Wilderness Attitude Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Waddell. Appreciate you downloading and subscribing to give us a listen. Really appreciate that. Hope everybody's having a great day. Kick back and enjoy the show. That's Brandon with Wilderness Attitude Podcast. I'm your host. I think you know that by now, just about every week. We might have another host one of these days, but not anytime soon. Maybe you guys want to do it. Anyway.
Maybe.
Anyway, today I'm joined by three awesome, inspiring young men, Connor Patterson, Jon Comiskey, and Parker Fisher. You may know them as the Colorado Good Old Boys. These three embrace the wilderness attitude, in my opinion, and with childhood heroes like Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, and John Wayne, and working young life camps and being raised by outdoor parents, how could they not? So, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here.
So, as you can see on camera, Connor is on the left. Hi. Parker in the middle, and John on the right. It's cold today.
Yeah,
It is.
it is.
Has it been cold here?
Yeah.
Last few
lot.
days.
It's been
Yeah.
real windy. Just that bitter wind cold.
Well, I'm glad I came in on the tail end of that then, because I can do pretty good with just about any temperature until the wind blows, and then it's a whole nother gig for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks so much for. I caught on to you guys on Instagram. I was looking just through things you might like and saw some of what you guys have been doing, and I was just I'm inspired by your age demographic, getting outside and doing things, going out and trying new things, pushing yourselves in the wilderness, disconnecting from the world, and trying to give some new things a shot. You know, the hunting world, we're losing that age demographic from 35 down to, to 25, 20-ish. It didn't get handed down like it had for so many generations, and we're losing hunters at a drastic rate because we're not replacing them with your guys' age group. And so whenever I find someone on Instagram or Facebook or somewhere and I see that, I like to follow them, I like to support them, I like to see what they're doing because, and that's why I wanted to have you guys on, because I'm inspired by what you guys are doing and what I see, and the digital content that you guys are putting out is good. The pictures you guys take are fabulous, and your message is pure and honest and open, and I dig that. So
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. So you all three grew up camping and fishing, but not much hunting is kind of what I gathered from your guys' bios. All three of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So at what point did you guys get introduced to hunting? Was it together or on your own or individually, and then you guys brought that together, or what?
Yeah, so Parker's my cousin, and we, growing up together, when we were late elementary, early middle school, got interested in hunting, and our fathers went and got our hunter safety with us, and we ended up going out and on a few hunts, and my dad had a buddy who was a hunter, and he took us out. His name was Kelly. He's a big bear of a man. He's hunting every weekend, and so we, since our dads didn't really know much about hunting, they'd been on a hunt or two growing up, but it's not something that'd been a part of their lives.
Right.
We brought him along with us, and he took us hunting a few times, and that's where he got me on a buck. It was really exciting. It's funny the sun was coming up, and Parker had a doe tag, and I had a buck tag, and as the sun's coming up, they were far off, and we thought they were does. So Parker was on the gun, and the poor guy, right before he was about to get to take the shot, Kelly realized, those are, they weren't very big bucks, but they were legal, and so he pulled Parker off the gun and got me on, and I got to take the shot. So
How old
Still
were
a
you
little
guys?
sad about that.
Oh yeah,
Still a little sad about that.
Yeah.
he was 11 and I was 13. So that's my first big game animal, and so that's where we kind of got introduced to that, and then we've chased elk around the woods for a while after that to very little success. But we've had fun through high school doing that, and then when we got into college, that's where you can pick up. You kind of got us all into waterfowling, I think. So, Parker.
Yeah, I mean, basically when I moved up to Fort Collins, I used to live in Littleton, Colorado, and in Fort Collins, there's a lot more presence of hunters, from what I could tell. And just during that time when I'm figuring out who I am, what my hobbies are, just things where I'm a free man, I'm not living at home anymore. What do I want to do? What's fun?
Yeah, what can you afford, too?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. What can I afford? And one of my buddies took me out waterfowl hunting, and I loved it. I had no gear. And, I mean, speaking about what can I afford, there was times where I was like, well, I'm going to spend the money I should be spending on food on a box of shotgun shells here and just hope that I get enough ducks so that I can eat and it'll pay off. Yeah. Just funny things like that. But whenever I've gotten into something over the years, or John's gotten into something in the outdoors, like rock climbing or fishing, whatever, our first thing is we want to bring the boys in on it, because it's honestly, for me, less about what we're actually doing and more about who we're doing it with. Yeah. And so started showing these guys waterfowl hunting, and they got the bug themselves, and from there it was, okay, Connor's like, let's try bow hunting. Let's do this. And let's get our rifle plans figured out. And so now pretty much every season it seems like we're doing a new form of take or a new animal, and it keeps it interesting.
That's cool.
My dad grew up hunting I don't think he ever went to a grocery store till late college. So they grew up hunting just out in Texas and the plains for meat, and then once he moved to Colorado, we just didn't get out. The guns were in Texas, and it just never worked out. And so once I got to college, and because he would always tell me stories of hunts, and there was mounts in my grandfather's house everywhere. They taxidermied everything themselves, so they had, creepy squirrels and owls and rats and just taxidermy everywhere. Whatever they could taxidermy. And so
an armadillo here and an armadillo there.
So I always really wanted to be a hunter, and so just getting into college and getting into waterfowl with these guys is a lot of fun. Connor is married to my sister.
That's right.
And so we kind of...
Grace,
yep.
Yes.
So we just kind of all got into it together, and then me and my dad went down to Texas, I guess, last year around January-ish time, and I got to kill a couple of does out there with him. So it was a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. When did you guys come up with this Colorado Good Old Boys idea and decide that you were going to team up and put yourselves out there for the world to see and watch and judge and,
Yeah.
When did this come around?
Do you guys know when the first post was?
I saw it when I remember...
Like October last year.
Kind of beginning of duck season.
Yeah.
Beginning of duck season last year, and you can tell you're kind of...
But it had to have been before the first post. I mean, was this coming for a while?
Oh, it's kind of a process. It's kind of a funny story, but so you tell us about how the account...
Yeah. On Instagram, I would see a lot of pages like Montana Wild, or there's one called Swamp Assassin that was all waterfowl, or Cameron Haynes, a few big influencers in the outdoor industry, and I was just like, man, that's awesome. Like they're sharing their passion, and they're getting into some sweet places, taking some sweet pictures, and because of that, there's some networking opportunities for them, and they're meeting a lot of other people, and I just always thought it was cool, but I never thought it was something that I would be doing. And then I kind of had this thought one day of looking at my own personal Instagram. I was like, geez, all my posts are hunting and fishing. I'm probably kind of boring some people here. Not everyone that follows me is interested in that sort of stuff. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool to just make a separate account here, and I'll post all my hunting and fishing pics and see what happens. And then after I had that thought, it got bigger of like, let's make it a group, and let's do it with some of my best friends and family here and see what happens. And so made it in the library at Colorado State University one day in between classes, probably when I should have been studying, and told these guys about it. I was like, it's called Colorado Good Old Boys.
Yeah. And the way we found out about it initially was he he comes up and says, "Hey, did you see the Colorado Good Old Boys posted a picture of us hunting the other day?" And I was
Oh,
like,
I
"What?
forgot
No way."
about this.
And so I'm like, he's showing us this account on Instagram. He's like, "Look, he's like, dude, these guys are super legit. Like, look at this." And they posted our picture. So we're looking at it, and it's like I'm scrolling through their pictures, and the first picture on their whole account is this picture of a duck that I shot last Halloween with my duck call next to it. And I was like, "Hey, these guys stole my picture. You know, I don't know how they got it." And he was like, "No, dude, I made this." And so Parker, he said, "Yeah, I made this." And he kind of made that little joke. But then we were like, "Oh, man, you got to give us the password, like get us in on this." So we just initially was just a fun Instagram account. And then, yeah, with our passions and our the way we want to share our stories and also kind of entrepreneurial spirits and creators and things like that, we're like, maybe we should kind of go for it like we see these other people doing. And so we just went from there, and kind of we're still in the thought process forming our mission and our identity of like, this is a company now, but what do we want to do with it? Where do we want to go? And so.
Yeah, identifying your brand, right? And describe to me what you envision Colorado Good Old Boys to embody. What do you have an idea? I mean, you're still building it, but what's your idea right now?
Yeah, I think we're probably multifaceted, and we want to be just something that we get to do together. We're family, and it's awesome to have a great relationship with your family, and we just enjoy getting out and hunting together. So something that we can do together and build together. But we want the company, we want to sell hats and sell some shirts, kind of like as everybody does. We want to get involved with conservation efforts. I'd like particularly to get in some of those efforts in Fort Collins, in our wetlands and things like that, so we can have them. Northern Colorado is growing like crazy. All of Colorado is growing like crazy, and so all of these things that we love to do and experience, and even not just duck hunting or bow hunting, like even climbing, camping, just at all of it. I've realized this last year how important it is to really steward that and take care of it. And I think we want to be a company that gives back in that way and kind of moves it forward. And so we want to produce media, but we'd love to start making some just hunting videos and try to make some high-end stuff that people enjoy watching. That, like, it seems like the hunting culture right now, lots of people, we are trying to cater to a broader audience, not just the guys who are already hunting. We see the actual story in the hunt and why we do it, because of the relationship and the family and the tradition, and we want to be on board with that also and continue to make a good name for hunting. And
right.
So.
Yeah, Parker, don't you think there's a lot to be said for keeping it real, right? That real aspect in your content is super important, I think, today.
Totally.
I think that the industry in a whole is turning more towards, like you're saying, more not necessarily the success of the hunt or the kill shot of the hunt or different things, but the journey, right? And I think that that's important, don't you think?
Yeah, completely. In addition to what Connor said about our hopes for the page, I remember before the podcast we were talking about how the population of hunters and outdoorsmen is declining. And I think that this page is an opportunity for us to show people that you don't need much to start. People that come from a family that don't have any outdoor experience, it can be hard for them to know where to start. And it can honestly be overwhelming when you see people on Instagram that I would say are not being very real, and all they're doing is posting the trophies and the good moments. They're not posting the failures or the 3 a.m. wake-ups to drive 2 hours. They're not posting those sort of things, and we've never been afraid to talk to our audience and say, yeah, we just spent 4 days in the mountains and we got skunked, but
nada. Right?
Yeah, nothing. But hey, we learned a few things and we had a good time together. And so my hope is that people that watch us can relate to us and think how in their own lives they could get out into the outdoors.
And John, what's your take? I mean, you work with youth a lot in the outdoors. That's what you have the most pride in seems like I mean, you just really enjoy that
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. And so through your page, what's your mission on trying to get your age demographic to realize that what you guys are doing is cool, right? You know,
Yeah.
and that running amok and doing dope or doing all this crazy stuff isn't where it's at, but that this is real and it's fulfilling.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just like these things and these excitements, they last for us. You know, when we talk about, we'll talk about some ducks that cupped up some weekend and some, pond that we were at, and we'll all still get excited about like that moment when the ducks cup up and they're coming into your decoys.
So when they're flying in, they do
When they're flying in, they do that cup up, and that's
showing off the wingspan.
That's when you take them. And so just those exciting moments are, when Connor tells us about he was out elk hunting and he bugled early in the morning and he just heard bugles ripple down all around and just like we can talk about that and still get excited, but like, you're not going to talk about getting high or getting drunk and like be excited about it really, and like these things are really lasting memories that we can have forever and really cherish, and they're just not like a short-term thing. And
yeah.
So
yeah, I like it. So when it comes, you guys really in your page, you do a bunch of stuff about, like you said, the 3 a.m. wake ups. You guys show me some struggles of that. I mean, that sucks. Getting up at 3 sucks. I mean, but it's easier to get up at 3 o'clock to go hunting than to get up and go working.
Amen.
Right? But you guys really show off how much you enjoy waking up with nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty cool, because that's something that there's a lot of people in this country or in this world that have never done that.
Yeah.
I
think one of our friends, Alan, who's been on our page a lot, he's a great fisherman, but he got to take, one of his girlfriend's friends out camping for the first time. And he just got to share with us kind of that experience of they didn't bring a tent and they just slept under the stars, and just getting, to bring his friend out hunting or camping for that first time, and just to be able to experience with somebody the outdoors for the first time. And Parker's a backpacking guide and gets to experience that as well.
That seems pretty cool to me. So now, was it your parents that did that?
Yeah.
So you're following in their footsteps, right?
Well, actually, all three of our parents had some involvement at one point or another as backpacking guides, which is cool.
So describe to me what's this backpacking guide job? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm actually wearing the hoodie right now. The company I work for is called RMR Backcountry, and we're based out of Fraser, Colorado. And what we do is take high school students backpacking for 7 days out in the woods. And it sounds simple, and it can be complicated, but at the end of the day, it's simple. You're showing people how to get back to just their roots and nature and society. I think especially, I'm a culprit of it too, but in youth, there's so much screen time and so much just time spent indoors. It's easy to forget about nature, and I don't know. There's just something to be said about when a high schooler is out there disconnected from technology, disconnected from the stress of school and relationships, family, whatever it is in their life, sports, and it's just them and nature. It's really cool.
What do you see in these kids over the 7 days? Describe to me the transformations or the realizations they have and stuff, right?
Oh, man, there's so many. One of the first ones that comes to my mind is they're not allowed to bring their phones or anything on the trip. And so day 1, day 2, all I hear is complaints. I'm the worst person in the world for not letting them bring their cell phones or anything. And then on day 7, when everyone's hugging and saying goodbye, they're like, I don't even want to turn my phone on.
Right.
Which is really cool.
That's empowering. You did your job.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In a way.
I hope so.
And give them a piece of it, and they'll remember it. I mean, you got to figure there's some people that never leave a city.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine living that life?
More than we realize, too, I think.
Yeah, I don't even know if you could fathom the number of people that some have never even, seen a wild animal. I mean, they might see a squirrel in City Park or a rabbit or something like that, but not like, out in the wilderness, right?
Not in there. You've never seen a wild animal in its environment.
Yeah.
Just something else about it out there.
It's pretty cool to be able to share that. I know that's for sure. Connor, what's your favorite memory of the wilderness at this point in your life that you could share?
Favorite memory. The first thing that popped in mind was this high fence hog hunt we did, which is not in the wilderness at all. So I'm not going to tell that story, but that was just in my mind.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. It's a memory that happens every time I go duck hunting, because it's the process. We're out there. I'm out there with my family, with my best friends. The guy who stood with me at my wedding, my best man. We go hunting ducks, but just we're out there and we're sitting in the water, and the sun's coming up, and you get to be at complete peace, and you're the most aware thing around you, because the animals are waking up too. The animals aren't even aware to you yet. You're just, as the sun rises and you get that twilight, where you kind of starting to make out shapes and different things, just that, but you're in it, fully focused, ready, and you have you've already had a cup of coffee, and you're just, in it. In the zone with people you love to be with. I think that's, for me, biggest part of hunting for me has been the enjoyment of doing something I feel like is important with people who I care about. So,
yeah. Parker?
That's hard.
It's hard to narrow it down to just one sometimes, but I try to force people to do it, because you need to take account of that. It's there. You just need to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. There was a time 2 years ago where one of my best friends and I had a 3-man limit duck hunting. So in the duck hunting in Colorado, all over, there's limits. You can only shoot a certain amount per day, and then you're done. And on public land, that's pretty rare to get to do. But we had one morning when we were out there, out east in Fort Morgan around Christmas time. Pretty cold. I didn't have much motivation to go out there because I'd been on a streak of getting skunked quite a few times and waking up at 3 and negative temperatures just did not sound like a fun way to spend my Saturday morning, but he got me to get up and go out there. His name's Jack, and we ended up just having the most incredible hour and a half of duck hunting I've ever had. As soon as shooting light happened, it was honestly a tornado of ducks all around us. I remember having a hard time keeping my laughter down because I was laughing like an excited little kid in a candy store almost, because I was like, this doesn't happen. I've never seen anything like this. Right. And ducks were just buzzing everywhere around us, dropping into our decoys, and we couldn't reload our guns quick enough for the next flight to fly over. And then we hit our limit and just sat there in silence for a second because we were so shocked, so overwhelmed with joy, and just didn't know quite what to do.
Right.
But that definitely, after that morning of duck hunting, I knew that it was going to be a lifelong obsession.
That's pretty neat. Isn't it funny how in the days that you don't want to go are the days you better go? Mm-hmm. Because that's, more times than not, most people that hunt, when they don't want to go, that's the day that they get the opportunity.
That's true.
And it's hard, isn't it, keeping that mental focus to go again. I mean, when you're getting skunked and you're not seeing nothing a lot with a heartbeat, and you're just and you're working, and whether it's getting up early and laying in a duck blind, or if it's marching 10 miles for an elk or whatever, man, if it's hard. It's totally a mind struggle.
I think what you just said could be applied to really anything in life. I don't want to go to work today. I'm tired. I don't want to go to the gym today. I'm tired. I don't want to invest in this relationship. I'm tired. Like, that's when you know you have to.
Yeah, some good self-awareness, What do you think, John? What's your...
I've been thinking here. I've been torn between a couple, but I think this year, earlier this duck hunting season, we got to take... I have a little 8-year-old sister, and she came out with us. She's been really talking about how bad she wants to go hunting, so we brought her out one morning. It was going to be not too cold, and let her sit with us in the blind, and we camoed up and we sat out there and we were real quiet, and we shot a duck, and just to kind of get to see her, interact with an animal that we killed for the first time, and just see her, be not sad, but just kind of be aware of the reality of, where meat comes from, and just the reality of taking an animal's life, and just to get to see her be excited to be able to go hunting herself was a really good moment.
You guys have followed the Lone Star Outdoor Show?
Yeah, I can't say I've seen it.
I see his stuff a time or two.
So he's got a son, and he's got a pair of twins that are younger, and he's got hunting dogs. So the other day he says, "Okay, so Daddy's going hunting tomorrow," and then he says, "So who's going to be on the A team tomorrow?" And he reaches out and he touches his dog, of course, right? Mm-hmm. Dog's got to go. "No, you're going." And he tells his son, "You made the A team. You're going too." And his daughters were all crying. And it's, "I want to go." Mm-hmm. And it's funny because he posts these videos all the time that when he comes home, them little girls run out there and jump in the back of his truck and grab every duck he's got in the back of that truck. And they pet it and play with him. And they help him, skin them and cook them. And, I mean,
that's awesome.
You've never seen two non-duck hunters so excited about duck hunting, right? Because they have never gone before, but they can't wait, So I can imagine how she felt, because I see some of that stuff on Instagram, and it'd be pretty cool to check it out. So what's your guys' favorite hunt that the three of you guys have been on together? The most memorable hunt with each other, successful or not?
Oh man, I think.
Are you looking for a combined answer, or just each of our own thoughts?
Give it to me. I don't care.
We could tell them about the time we went out to get that one duck.
Yep.
Oh man,
that is a good one.
Anyways, so
I don't know if I'm ready to relive this.
I know. So we it was
I'm cold.
A cold front coming in, tons of snow, so that means full migration should be going on. And so Parker, like the story you just told about where they went out and got those limits in Fort Morgan, we're like, all right, we're going. So we get in the car, and I mean, I know my dad called me and was like, "You're driving in this right now?" I mean, it was terrible snowstorm, but we just got in the car and we're going, and it took us.
It was bad.
I mean, we couldn't. It was whiteout conditions, and when in 18-wheelers, the snow was soft enough and fresh enough that 18-wheelers could cruise on it, but we couldn't. And because they were heavy enough, they'd pass us, and we'd be in a cloud of snow for
then they'd be gone.
We'd be in the cloud for a
good
30 seconds.
Highway.
Yeah, and you can't slow down because another 18-wheeler could come up and the back and smack you. So we were just driving through the night, through the snowstorm. We were gonna let's camp in the car, and then it was just too cold. It was negative 20 degrees, and we were like, all right, we're getting a hotel. So we got a hotel. We woke up the next morning, and I mean, we slept for maybe an hour and a half. I don't know, because by the time we got there, got going, and I think the coldest it got
paid for a hotel to stay there, hour and a half.
Yeah,
hot coffee,
night of sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, we wake up, we head out there, and it's maybe I think the coldest it got was negative 25 on this trip, and so we're just
so cold
idiots. So we go, and so we get out there, and we think we're going to be the first people to the spot. I guess there was about 40 other people who were just as dumb as us that were all out there because we know it's going to be on Donkey Kong to get after some ducks, and so we end up getting a spot, and we settle in, and we get a blind, and get all our decoys going, and I'll let Parker pick up from there. He can tell the rest of the story,
Parker.
I guess.
Yeah.
You're all set up. You're waiting.
So when we were sitting there in the blind freezing, I had my jet boil that I had brought. Are you familiar with jet boils? Yeah, so I had brought a jet boil with me because I was planning on making coffee, but at this point, none of us even cared about coffee. We just turned on.
I couldn't open my coffee cup because the lid was frozen
We
shut.
just turned on the jet boil.
So cold.
Yeah, we tuck off the thermos part on top and just set it in the middle of us in the blind and just had our hands right above the flames that it was giving off, trying to get some movement back so I could grip the duck call to call. But what was interesting about that morning is we were seeing thousands of ducks, but they were all in V formations up high. Nothing.
They're getting out of town.
Yeah, I imagine the ducks looking down like, what are those dumb ducks doing down there? It's way too cold to be sitting around down there. We're getting out of here. We're going to Mexico. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the series of events. I remember the shot you took.
Oh yeah, so one
duck
duck
inopportune
so
timing.
one duck came in, and it came across us, and I came around, and I hit it, and it fell to the ground, and so then I left the blind to go get it, and I get over there, and sometimes this happens where you hit a duck enough that you knock it down, but it can get up and fly away, and so I get over there and I see him flying off, and it's like too far to take another shot, and then all of a sudden, all those tons and tons of ducks that were up high, there's another one just coming in.
They were coming
right in over us.
They were coming for us,
and they were circling us, and
I'm sitting there in the blind with John calling at these ducks. Well, Connor's maybe 50 yards downriver from us trying to find that one. And I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, Connor, dear God, please don't fire a gun right now and scare all these ducks away, because I wasn't sure if he saw them or not.
Right.
And
he's got his back to him coming in.
John and I are set up to have the best.
I'm like blowing in my hand to like get my fingers enough so I can pull the trigger.
Oh yeah,
like we're getting
our
ready.
safeties.
It's too cold for me, man. You guys
our
are crazy.
safeties were off. We had just every ounce of warmth left in our body, ready to go to drop down all these ducks, and they're circling up, ready to come in. And then right as we're just drooling about to pull the trigger, you just hear bang, and I look over and Connor's just standing there. All the ducks that were circling down on John and I, gone. And we laugh about it now because Connor, he felt pretty bad about it, but John and I just looked at each other.
Oh man, it's it's so cold.
Like,
Those are our ducks.
We're done hunting today.
This is it. We're out.
But
we packed
you ended up the time you shot. That ended up
beautiful duck.
Was that the mallard you got? That nice one.
Well, so
that was a separate one, wasn't it?
No,
yeah,
that's
so
when we were
I took that
packing
shot
up,
because I also had some ducks flying over. It's like, I'll shoot at them, and I should have. It's a learning experience. If you're out of the blind, just lay down and let them hunt. Because they're set up for it.
Cover your face.
Just a bad choice. But anyways,
cover your face. Why?
Just because if you're out in the blind, just lay down and hope it rain down on you. But we were packing up, and John and Parker are in the water cleaning up the decoys, and this one duck comes circling around, and we had backpacks packed up to walk out to this spot. So guns are in cases, guns are strapped to the backpacks, unloaded, and he circles us, and we're like, everybody's cussing, you son of a gun, because we just gave up, and this duck comes in, and he kept circling us long enough. I got my gun out and loaded one in there, and he came by one time, and I was able to drop him, and he was a beautiful greenhead mallard.
Probably the biggest one any of us have ever seen to date.
It was a big
duck. It was a pretty duck, and so it was
he was a chunk.
All that time and effort. We went and we brought back one duck.
Duck.
And what did your parents say about your one duck?
Oh yeah,
I don't even know if we
They were
told them.
like, they've given up thinking. They just always laugh at us when we do stuff like this. At this point, they've given up like telling us it's not worth one duck. At this point, they know that we're just gonna go do it.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
You guys live and breathe ducks.
The moral of that story, though, is not a great success as far as dropping ducks, or putting meat on the table. But we made, I feel like we almost just scratched the surface there. There's just so many funny memories. And
man.
Right.
We ended up having enough time left on the hotel we had paid for that we were so cold before we drove back. We went and jumped in the hot tub at the hotel and got a little buffet breakfast. And then went back to Fort Collins. And
well, heck, that hotel room was worth the money then.
It was.
Oh, yeah. It was.
Because you guys could have been cold to the core all the way home.
Yeah.
Because you get to a certain point, right?
Yeah.
You can't. The hot
That's
tub's
right.
where it's
We
at.
had to bail.
When we got into the car, it was probably a 20-minute drive to the hotel. And that whole drive, we have the heat cranked up all the way, seat heaters on.
And all of us are.
And then when we got to the hotel, we're changing into our swimsuits in the lobby, whatever. When we got to the hot tub, it still hurt tremendously.
Needles.
Yeah, getting in there.
Oh yeah, our waders were, when we took them off in the parking lot, you could stand them up straight, just frozen straight.
I remember walking out
But-
because we had to walk through some water, so like your waders would freeze your legs straight walking out, so you couldn't bend your knees,
Couldn't
just
bend
like
your knees.
waddling.
John, when we were walking out,
A
actually
trip.
dropped my 12
I
gauge
dropped
into
my
the
whole
river.
body in the river.
I didn't care about his body. I was worried about my
Your
gun.
12 gauge, yeah.
Yeah, he dropped it in the river. And when we got back to the car, I unzipped my case, which was supposed to be waterproof. Turns out it's not. Pull out an icicle of a shotgun. It just looked like somebody had made a redneck popsicle, basically, and
Right.
couldn't pump it, couldn't do anything. So at the hotel, I had the blow dryer, just trying to thaw it out, clean it up.
That's a good story. I mean, I wouldn't have I would have never gone. That's why I bow hunt, because it's warm.
That was awesome this year.
Yeah, the weather was incredible.
It was warm up here too.
Yeah.
Was it?
Just
We
because
were-
it wasn't third season rifle,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
warmer.
way different.
Oh,
yeah. We
Yeah.
went out third season this year with my daughter, and it was cold. We were bundled up pretty good. I don't, it's like I haven't even invested in the kind of gear that you guys even use to duck hunt. I don't even have that kind of cold weather stuff. I mean, I have a few layers, but not. I mean, what you guys were talking about?
Well, we were not prepared.
We're kind of.
I had like a hoodie and a Carhartt jacket on,
Are you kidding me?
Just-
It was
No.
20 below zero.
and I was really cold the whole time. I was so cold.
That's insane. I don't know. The whole duck thing for me, I don't know about my listeners. I don't think I've really had anybody on that's ever been quite as into waterfowl as you guys. So, what? I don't know. It's even like I don't even buy a fall turkey tag because I don't want to shoot a 20-pound bird when I'm hunting a 900-pound animal. I don't even want my ADD to kick in and start chasing turkeys, right? And if I don't have the tag, I won't do it. So I can stay focused on elk. It just seems like a ton of work. It seems like it's cold, and I don't know.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I think one of the upsides is the way that we're able to. You can get out early if you have a spot close by. We get out early and we hunt during the week sometimes before we have to go to work and school and stuff. So we're able to just get out there and get it done for an hour. And so that's one benefit, because as far as if we're planning an elk hunt, we're looking at a multi-day commitment, no matter what type of thing to get out there after them. And so it's just a little more. It's almost like going fishing in the morning.
It's almost like it's convenient in a sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
convenient and communal.
We
And
like
then-
that about we got archery tags for somewhere that was close enough to town that we could go and get back for class or work or whatever. So that was nice too. We could go and try to get the morning wake up little hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good. One time we got back late and I spent my whole day at class with full camo, still paint on my face, but sometimes it doesn't work out too well. But
People can look at you how they will, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You're having fun,
it's
doing your
true.
thing. There's something to be said for having some close properties, even where I'm at, where you can kind of get out and get an hour in on a turkey hunt in the spring or this or that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me because if I'm thinking about the fact that I got to leave, I know that as soon as I leave, I'm going to hear that bird.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be walking out of there mad that I can't stay and try to call that bird in,
The nice thing about waterfowl is when you leave, you can come back the next day, or if not the next day, the next week pretty easily. When we leave from an elk hunt that's unsuccessful, I feel a different weight of sadness because I'm like, that's it till next season.
Yeah.
But if I have a failed duck hunt, I just tell myself, hey, we'll be back out here tomorrow or the day after.
How long is the duck season?
So it started in end of September, and then right now we're in a 2 to 3 week break, and then it'll kick back on.
For our
again.
zone, it's broken up all over the state into different flyways.
Right.
Basically
They have
September
different
to
seasons.
September to end of January,
Gotcha.
early February.
Well,
So
that's
you got a
you
good
got
chunk
a
of time.
Yeah, you got a long time there. You can have fun.
It's crazy too.
Yeah.
It's like two different aspects of hunting too, because early season it's warm and you got to do your decoys differently, and it's like you're gonna get out in a t-shirt and be sweating, and then late season, negative 25 and you're freezing.
Second season ducks has always been my favorite because that seems when the biggest migration pushes happen with the cold weather. I mean, it doesn't
change each year. It doesn't change each year.
It does.
The peak of it.
It does.
Like the rut's a little different.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would compare it to the rut, how it fluctuates.
It's close, but it could be a little earlier or just a little later.
Yeah, it's hard to predict it accurately.
You got to watch storms, in Canada and these places.
Ducks Unlimited app.
Ducks Unlimited app to see.
Yeah.
Kind of see how it's hopping down, but it's similar to the rut where it's like around this time.
Yeah.
It's funny, on our iPhones, on the weather app, you'll see cities that we're checking the weather that we've never even been to. Like, why are you checking the weather in Montana right now? That's trying to see if ducks are going to be good next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, too. I've been seeing stuff on Instagram, too, where it's like there's 1 million ducks in the city pond.
Oh, yeah.
Not a duck anywhere else to be found.
That's classic.
Just like private land.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole gig, right?
Yeah.
It's like all the elk you see on the golf course up in Estes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Untouchable.
Yep.
And they know
Just breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know that it's got to be tough, Connor, balancing marriage and work, and then you also lead worship at church, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I imagine that kind of lends to the whole duck hunting. I mean, or duck hunting lends to that, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get out, you can get an hour in, you can do this, you can do that, right? And you can break it up through the, through the week and the days. And
Yeah.
Does your wife bird hunt?
She does not. She actually just got her hunter safety last weekend with her sister Bella and friend Madison. So they want to come out with us and kind of see what it's like. And so, but yeah, our first year of marriage, it was like, there was a learning process on my end, of I'm not my own anymore. I'm married, and so like I would be out duck hunting a lot and hunting a lot, just doing whatever. And so that first season, it was definitely a little bit of stress there, a little bit of a conflict on how much time I was putting in hunting. And so this year, I learned to manage it better as far as, get out early, get it done in the morning when, and have that time to get my other responsibilities taken care of, as well as, be present with my wife. So,
Right.
Yeah, but it was definitely a little bit of a learning process that first year.
It is.
Still is.
It'll be a learning process through your whole marriage.
And
trust me.
The next thing, it's like once we have kids, it'll be like, all right, like less hunting. It's just kind of the reality. Like
that give and take scenarios, right?
Yeah.
But it's pretty crazy. How old are you?
I'm 24.
24, and you're pulling that off. There's not many people that are 24 that even be in your scenario, really, that I know. Not too many. Doesn't seem like that I can recount.
Yeah.
But Parker, you currently in real estate. Is that you?
Yeah,
you
I'm
got
getting
your
into real estate right now.
You got your license yet?
No, I'm in school getting my license.
Gotcha.
So probably here by the end of January, I'll be licensed.
It's going to be a hot gig around here in Colorado, man.
Yeah.
They're saying that the amount of people moving to the state is going to be insane in the next 25, 30 years.
Yeah, everyone's telling me that now's the time to do it, and so I figured I'll listen to them.
Yeah, give it a shot, huh?
Yeah.
Now, but you went to school, right, and got a BA, right, in outdoor leadership?
In high school, I was in an outdoor leadership program.
Gotcha.
Yeah, at a young age, which was really cool. It was at not too far from here, actually, at a school called Warren Tech, which was a trade school you could go to for half of your day, and then your home high school for half of the day.
There you go.
And so my senior year, I would spend first half of my day hiking. And so
It kind of worked out pretty cool.
yeah, it was sweet.
So how you going to apply what you learned there in the conservation and bushcraft and outdoor leadership? How are you going to apply that to Colorado good old boys? Got an idea?
We've talked, like Connor said earlier, about hosting conservation events, simple things like a river cleanup day, and we'll be grilling up some brats, things like that. But in that program, we all got certified in the Leave No Trace principles. And so every time I take people into the outdoors, like all the high school students on our backpacking trips, on day one I go over each of those 7 principles with them, just to help instill a sense of responsibility to them that, hey, we need to leave this place cleaner than we found it. Not just the same as we got here, but let's actually make it better. Let's improve it. So that way when the trip comes out next week, they can enjoy it and have the same experience you guys did.
I wonder if I know the 7 principles. Maybe I do them. I don't know them, but I'm curious if I do them. So can you give them to me, and I can see if I do them or not?
Yeah, on the hot seat here. Now I got to list all 7. I'm sure, number 1, be prepared. So
okay, got that one.
You have your 10 essentials. 2, when you're making fires, you want to make sure the wood you're using it's called the 3 Ds, which means dead, down, and detached.
Okay.
So I'd say that's the one I'm the culprit of breaking, because if I see a dead tree,
you break it
I break it down. Yeah, especially if there's been some inclement weather, because the stuff that's on trees is what's dry, not the stuff lying on the ground.
True.
You guys can chime in here too if you remember any of them.
Golly.
I have a cheat sheet that I use with the students.
I wondered if I was putting you on the hot seat or not, but
Yeah.
I thought I'd try it.
Yeah, leave what you find. So that one, another similar gray area. Like if I find a shed, I keep it. Some people that are diehards would say, no, you need to leave that. But if I leave it, I know
take
the
the
next
shed,
guy's
too.
going to take it. Yeah, of course. There's when you're using the restroom in the woods, you want to make sure you're away from a water source. So good rule of thumb is 100 yards away from rivers or lakes, which is nice because that's what we drink out of while we're out there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, they won't let you put a septic tank within 100 yards of your well.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if I pay that much attention to that.
A lot of it really is.
I'll tell you a story. Okay, so I totally here's a little confession. Okay.
Here we go.
So we were elk hunting, and we were sitting on a wallow last year. And there was a creek that ran right by that wallow. Well, I needed to poop. I straddled that river, and I pooped right in it. Because I didn't want the smell of the poop right there where we were hunting.
Yeah, wallows are pretty nasty to begin with.
Yeah. And I said something to my hunting partner, and he was like, "You did what?" He says,
That's funny.
"We get water downstream from here." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he's all, "No, I'm just kidding." But at first, I didn't think about it. But yeah.
Well, did it pay off for you?
No. No elk came down the wallow. They ended up bugling up above us. We chased them up there, and my listeners have heard this story. I actually got the full draw on the biggest bull I've ever seen on the hoof in real life in front of me, and then some things went down behind me with my hunting partner, and he scared it off.
Oof.
So I was so close.
Still your hunt partner?
Yeah, I'd hunt with him
Yeah.
again. We just, that's the thing is right. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, finding a hunting partner is hard, right? Being able to communicate, being able to understand each other's body language, just different things, and just having the same mindset, right? And we have the right things, but we just needed to work on communication skills,
Right.
And we figured that out over our 4 days that we could be good hunting partners together, but we're going to have to work on our communication skills and lack of communication, right? You got to kind of know what's going down a little bit before you do it. Like you knew you shouldn't have made that shot,
Oh, yeah.
right? When there was birds hovering, they were ready.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
For sure.
it's just one of those things that kind of happens. But John, tell me about your career in Young Life camps and where that's. Do you have a vision of having a long-term career there?
I do, yeah. So I'll graduate here on May 11th, finally, and I'll be at a camp in Durango for about 2 months, and then I'll be kind of figuring out where my next step with Young Life will be. But I would love to be on full time at a property somewhere. So that's about where I'm at right now. But I've interned and done summer staff and a few other things, and then I've been on I was on full-time staff last summer at a camp in Buena Vista, Trail West Lodge, and I'll be on full-time staff again at this camp in Durango Rocky Creek Ranch.
So you're trying to be a full-time staff, right, where you're getting paid and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? And then eventually you want to move to where you're going to be running one of those camps, wherever that's at.
Yeah. So eventually, hopefully, my first job will be, I'll be there year round, but I'll kind of be the grunt.
Yeah.
And
You got to start at the bottom.
Just got to start bottom and move my way up from there to
Right.
maybe eventually being the head honcho and figuring it out. So, but I've really loved doing that and just getting to experience that kind of different side of outdoorsness than Parker has. Kind of the more resort type of it.
Right.
But, we still take kids' phones and we get to challenge them in ways like we have a high ropes obstacles and we have horses and some camps have dune buggies and that kind of thing.
Hikes,
We
hikes
do a
and
hike. At Frontier Ranch in Buena Vista, which I've worked at, they take a whole bunch of Texans up a 1,300-foot mountain, 1,000-foot mountain,
Don't you guys have like a BB gun range? and
Yeah,
fishing
Trail West, there's a
ponds,
BB
too?
gun range and a fishing pond. So just kind of getting to help people experience the outdoors a little bit. Just
Getting
give them that
them
taste,
Taste of it, yeah. Right.
So,
And they get to stay all in the cabins and all that
Yeah,
kind of jazz and
yeah.
bunk up and eating the same
yeah, we have
cafeteria.
a dining hall.
Dining hall, yeah. I guess in the mountains you don't call them cafeterias, do you?
Dining hall, and we have cabins, and so
Chow
they just
house.
get to stay there. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And getting to interact with wildlife on that side has been pretty fun as well. I've got to go head-to-head with a couple bears,
Yeah,
which
tell
is
us about that.
so there'll be some bears that come try to eat our trash every once in a while, and if you get real lucky, you get the go-ahead to go get after them with some rubber buckshot and a shotgun, which is just next level fun, man. It's something else because you're just out there. All you have is rubber buckshot, nothing else. So I usually carry like a knife and a tomahawk and a machete, and I just come strapped up with every big
Come on,
knife I've
Rambo-
bought since I was
Rambo'd up.
17.
Ready to go in case
Just ready in case the bear comes at you. But it's a lot of fun, and just getting to interact with bears and go up. We have a trout pond at Trail West, and so going up and looking at tracks of what's been up there, mountain lion and bear and I think it's fun. Coyotes, and
foxes.
Oh yeah.
Lord knows what. Well, that sounds like a good time. It seems to me, you guys' passion for the outdoors and your faith and and how you guys treat each other like family is doing you right. Whether it's something that'll take you to success for your brand or not, it just seems to me like you guys are having a good time and you're having fun and you're living life, and I think that's pretty neat at your age. And do you guys catch yourselves daydreaming more about Colorado Good Old Boys than what you're supposed to be doing?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yep.
So me and Parker, when we were young, I remember for felt like a whole year when I was probably kind of like that same time when we went on those first hunts, 13, 14, 11, 12, or we'd call each other on the phone and talk for an hour every night and talk about how we wanted to. We had this grand plan about this 3-month-long adventure we were going to take in the woods before we went off to college. It didn't end up happening, but the cool thing about it was that we were able to dream and talk about all this. We had the budget, we had the plans, we had all the. We were taking horses and wall tents, and we were just going to go out there and just live like mountain men for a few months. And we also talk about our dream. We talk man, one day, what if we could own some property, and sort of selfishly have all this gear on it for ourselves to have fun with. And the way you can afford that is have guide services and do these. Find a way that you can have a business that also in turn. It allows you to be able to do your hobby and what you love, and so have a place with some horses, have a place where we just anything you can think of that you do in the outdoors in Colorado that we can provide that. And so we that was something we dreamed about a long time ago, and now this Colorado Good Old Boys thing. There's some potential there for just to keep growing a brand and a business, and maybe we'll find a little, niche that we'll be able to work in. So,
but in the meantime, you guys are having a good time.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like one thing that I caught my eyes. You could say, "Oh, this one time at band camp," right? But from what I hear, it's that you like to say that one time me and Parker.
Yeah, yeah. Like anytime. So me and Parker don't have brothers. So we've got sisters.
You got each other.
So growing up, more of a brother than a cousin in a lot of ways. And so when we were born in Texas, and I spent the first 9 years of my life there. And then we moved to Colorado within the same week.
Unplanned.
It was just both our dads got jobs up here, and in Texas we lived about an hour apart. And we moved up here, and we were about an hour apart. And so just always have been close in proximity. And then also, since both our families came up here, that's kind of who we had when we came up here also. So we were just together a lot. And Parker lived in Ken Carroll Valley, where your backyard has mountain lions and hogback cliffs and things to go explore and forts to make and things like that. And so we've just built a lot of memories growing up together. And so lots of stories I have worth telling. Start with, me and Parker. I just find myself saying that, like, me and Parker. But
John, you feel like the third wheel?
Well, me and Parker live together now, and Connor has to go hang out with his wife, so we
So now who's the third
it's
wheel?
pretty evened out.
Us two have coined the term cousin-in-laws.
Cousin-in-laws. I don't feel like the third wheel. I mean, I would say lots of my stories start with when Parker, or me and Parker, or when Parker got us a job snow shoveling. And so I think that we just get to all kind of experience that together now. And, we have Thanksgiving together now, all our families, and they'll lose us for hours because, we'll usually have it at Connor's house, and they have some property up there that just has
disappear.
Just stuff to go look at,
Right. How'd you get the nickname John Big Fudge?
Oh, man. Well, we're just going to go out and say here, I guess. Well, I was driving to a work crew once, which is, in high school you go work at a Young Life camp for a month. You go volunteer. And they have some discipleship programs and that kind of stuff. And so I was driving there with my dad, and he was telling me about all these nicknames he gave in his friends in college. And I said, I want a nickname. And he was like, well, you guess you got to have someone to give it to you. You just can't give yourself one.
That's right.
But I'm pretty stubborn, so I was like, watch me. And so I just went and introduced myself to everybody's Big Fudge. And when they would ask me what my name was, I would just wink at them and walk away. That's how.
Big Fudge.
I just told everybody else my name.
Do you guys have different nicknames for him? Or are you just sticking with Big Fudge?
Yeah, Big Fudge stuck around. So
It's stuck around, huh?
I call him Big John.
Big John.
Which is, it's his name, but
Yeah, you look like a Big John.
everybody needs a Big John in their life, so.
That's a fact.
True.
So it's Big John.
And, you sometimes you see in things and groups that family works really well, but it doesn't always work really well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have your disagreements? Do you guys have tiffs? Does that go down? Or is it always happy-go-lucky?
No, I think it's definitely not good all the time. I think our parents, something that they've instilled in us is they've showed us how to deal with conflict in a healthy way, and not to suppress it, also not to just
Ignore
it, or also not to just blow out. It's I feel like even with good old boy stuff, sometimes we've had to make decisions where we don't agree on this or that, whatever it may be, and we decided a long time ago, sort of, hey, if this is going to be something that drives us apart, we'll drop it. Because the reason we did this was to have something fun to do together. And so, I think we get into it. Me and Parker haven't gotten to a little wrestling match in a long time, because once you're grown men, it's just a little, no fist fights. But when we were little kids, there'd be some tiffs for sure there too. But we love and respect each other enough to bring those things up, and so it happens.
Yeah.
But I'm just grateful that we consider our relationships with each other worth it to fight for the relationship, not fighting each other. And so
Right. Awesome.
I think that's
From a company standpoint, too, I think that if there isn't disagreements, there's not growth. it seems like disagreements come into play when it's discussions around how do we make this profitable, or what hat design do we go with, what's this, what's that type of deal. So if we were stagnant and weren't making moves, it'd be easy to just float by, no problems. But
Right.
I'm sure even with your podcast, you've experienced that to some degree. I mean, you need to make some moves, and sometimes that requires disagreement.
Yeah, I think for the most part, we're pretty lucky at this point. We've got 3, 4, 5 different perspectives. I mean, my wife has one, I have one, Kate has one, Mike has one. And we all kind of trust each other's professional ability, and we all try to listen to each other and take into account what they perceive, right, and what they believe, and then we try to see, how does the market that we're trying to get to and what we're trying to achieve, how do we think they're going to react to that?
Right.
And so I think that if you're looking at your stuff in a business aspect from open eyes, open arms, open ears, and remembering what the mission is, then the disagreements aren't really disagreements. They're actually just discussions that are working towards a better outcome. And without those discussions or disagreements, there is no growth, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Those things have to happen. There has to be pinnacles of highs and lows for there to be advancement and true growth in a natural way.
Yeah.
And that's what is lasting. That's what will last in the long run anyway, right? Relationship-wise, business-wise, all of it. If it's organic, then it works.
Yeah.
And if it's real, right?
Like trees have to be pruned up, but it's not comfy. It's
That's
not
right.
comfortable. But that's how you get big and strong and rooted in a big way. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Agreed. Well, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. Thanks so much for meeting me here and sitting down with me. It's really a pleasure to get to know you a little bit, and I think that hopefully we'll have an opportunity to regroup again here in the future and see where things are at and what we're doing, and maybe try to do some hunting together, or maybe you have to take me out there to a blind and watch this whole duck thing
Find
go
the
down.
birds.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'll be your
good.
dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need one.
John needs a break.
I do, yeah.
John needs a break. So you guys got dogs lined up for the future here, or what?
We got to get one.
Just the guy to my left.
Yeah.
We get.
Yeah.
Well,
We take a
sometimes
black
we
inner
let
tube.
freshmen hunt with us, and then they
Yeah.
have to go.
And they have to do it, huh?
but
We just
no,
spray paint a
just
black
kidding.
inner tube, spray paint it dog. You just take that out there and kind of.
Float around.
Float
when
out
you got to
there.
go get your duck off the ice.
Yep.
Once I have my own place, I'll definitely get a dog. But right now, where John and I live, it's not a great environment with a bunch of college dudes running around the place trying to raise one.
Yeah.
So
No.
it's on the horizon, though.
Cool.
We'll update you next time on the next podcast.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Thanks, gentlemen. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
you
course.
being on.
Thank you,
Thank
Brandon.
This is Brandon, Wilderness Attitude. Thanks so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Facebook Live, thanks for coming on. And we look forward to seeing you here soon. Check out Colorado Good Old Boys on Instagram. You'll like what they're doing. Young, entertaining, energetic, and focused. It's something we need out of our youth at their age in the mid-20s, right? So give them some support. We'll catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in.